Clark County Today is presented by Cano Real Estate. Hire an agent, get a team. Learn more by visiting canorealestate.com.
Hey everyone, I'm Chris Brown. A very happy Friday to all of you. Today, Clark County passed 400 confirmed cases of COVID-19. 2 additional cases since yesterday brings the total to 401. And another person has died as well, a woman in her 80s, bringing the death toll to 25. 7 people are currently hospitalized, with 2 in intensive care. Under Governor Jay Inslee's 4-phase reopening plan, restaurants in Clark County could begin reopening at half capacity as soon as May 26th. On Thursday, the governor issued guidelines for restaurants on how to prepare for that. You can find a link to those guidelines in the story on our website. But one thing that won't be part of the plan is a requirement that restaurants keep a list of customers. The governor has backed away from that, but is still encouraging restaurants to ask patrons for their information voluntarily. It would be used by contact tracers in the event someone who works at the restaurant or someone who recently ate there tested positive for COVID-19. Well, this week, Clark County councilors asked the public health officer, Dr. Alan Melnick, to seek clarity from the state about what the goal is for testing and contact tracing. With daily cases declining, the county is hoping the governor will reconsider his requirements for allowing counties to apply for a variance and move into reopening more quickly. Right now, Melnick says providers are testing around 250 people per day in Clark County. They have the capacity to do more than that, but at the moment, there aren't a ton of people seeking tests. Meanwhile, the county is expected to approve spending next week to hire 18 case investigators and 18 contact tracers who would be responsible for interviewing people who test positive and then following up with close contacts to assist them with self-isolating for 14 days. Well, the true cost of this pandemic isn't found just in statistics. Our own Jacob Granneman talked with a number of Clark County residents this week who shared their own perspectives on how they have been impacted.
Thanks, Chris. This story was pretty difficult to write, to be honest, and there's a lot of moving components, there's a lot of variables, and there's also a lot of different perspectives. But at the end of the day, the consensus that we found in writing this story is that there is a cost to the coronavirus that isn't just in the statistical realm of things. We got to speak with a woman here in Clark County who was actually diagnosed with COVID and then went through the treatment process, also had pneumonia, and then overcame that as well, and kind of her and her family's experience with the testing and also with the separation, being separated in the hospital from their loved ones. And in that same vein, we also got to speak with a young married couple here in Clark County who the husband in this couple is currently battling cancer throughout his body. And they have treatment at OHSU, and last month they had a pretty difficult encounter with some security at OHSU because of the restrictions for family members being with patients, and there's been a formal grievance filed with OHSU, so their story is also in there as well. OHSU has commented and said that they cannot comment on the specific situation, but that they adhere to guidelines of restricting visitors from going into the building during the COVID-19 pandemic, but that there are exceptions to that, and you can go to the story to find the full list of those things. It's common with many hospitals. But overall, the story focuses on the human perspectives of folks during this time, and we hope that you will take a moment to read it. And really, the goal is that you put aside your opinions and you put aside your predispositions about the situation and just listen. Just listen to people's thoughts and their challenges and also their encouragement during this time.
Thanks so much for that, Jacob. Another emerging cost has been the number of people who have avoided going to the hospital or seeing a doctor due to worries over COVID-19. This week, the Washington State Hospitals Association, which includes Peace Health Southwest, started a media campaign aimed at letting people know it is safe to go to the hospital if you need help.
The stay home, stay healthy order had a major factor in regards to limiting the spread of the virus. But it was never meant to keep us or our patients from receiving the healthcare that they need. We have heard that there's beliefs that the healthcare system is so overwhelmed with taking care of COVID patients that we simply don't have the time to attend to others. And I guess I want to kind of bust that myth and really say that that's simply not true. We are here for you with or without COVID.
Many hospitals say they've seen emergency department visits drop by more than half, and the number of people coming to the hospital for a stroke is down 20%. The concern is that people are staying home rather than seeking treatment. Peace Health says their staff are taking steps to ensure the safety of patients, including the use of masks or other personal protective equipment by all caregivers and physicians, pre-screening before appointments, and temperature and symptom checks for anyone visiting its locations in person. A Vancouver pastor's proposal to allow churches to reopen, at least on a modified basis, has continued gaining traction this week. Pastor Andrew Murch of Vancouver's Northwest Gospel Church asked the governor to allow spiritual gatherings to restart in a similar way as restaurants and movie theaters. Murch's proposal asked the governor to allow spiritual gatherings to reopen at 25% capacity in Phase 2 and 50% in Phase 3. Over 3,000 Washingtonians, many from Clark County, have signed on to support Murch's plan. So far, the governor hasn't responded directly, but Murch says a number of state legislators have expressed interest in taking up the cause. While state and local governments are bracing for the financial impact of shuttered businesses and people staying home, state is expected to see a revenue drop of between $5 and $8 billion over the next several years. And that has school districts across the state gearing up to address potential funding cuts. For now, though, most Clark County districts say they expect to be fine. In fact, Evergreen School District anticipates a higher than expected ending fund balance. And Vancouver Public Schools said a forecasted $4.3 million shortfall could end up being wiped out by unanticipated extra revenue. Both districts say they intend to take the extra money and set it aside ahead of potential cuts at the state level. The annual state revenue forecast is anticipated in June. Well, C-Tran ridership is down over 55% compared to last year as people stay home and avoid public transit. But CEO Sean Donaghy told the agency's board of directors this week that the ridership drop is actually the smallest of any major public transit agency in the state, and that there are signs that usage is picking up. C-Tran received nearly $16 million from the Federal CARES Act, which they hope will allow them to avoid dipping into emergency funds. Donaghy said they've also implemented a hiring freeze and deferred a number of capital projects. About 20% of C-Tran's workforce is also on voluntary leave, though some are expected to return to work soon. Well, the Clark County Medical Examiner's Office this week released the names of a man and woman involved in a murder-suicide north of Battleground on May 3rd. 54-year-old Leon Garcia is believed to have shot 50-year-old Rosa Sizemore multiple times before taking his own life. The Clark County Major Crimes Unit is continuing that investigation. Well, that agency is also continuing to investigate a deadly officer-involved shooting by 3 Vancouver police officers from late last month. On Thursday, they released a photo of the sharpened metal poles William Abe reportedly used to knock a man unconscious and then threaten officers when they arrived on scene at Northeast Stapleton and 4th Plain. The 50-year-old transient was shot after approaching officers with the weapons as well as throwing rocks at them. The investigation will be handed off to the Clark County prosecutor as soon as it's complete. A heads up for people in Washougal, a major project is about to get underway at Steigerwald Lake National Wildlife Refuge. The Steigerwald Reconnection Project will reconfigure the existing Columbia River levee system to reduce flood risk, reconnect about 965 acres of Columbia River floodplain, and increase recreation opportunities at the refuge. The existing parking lot will permanently close on June 1st. The Dyke Trail will remain open through July 6th, when the entire refuge will be closed until October 2nd. Construction on SR 14 through the area could also bring intermittent lane closures from June through September. Now let's toss it over to Paul Valencia with more on a Camas legend.
Happy Friday to you all. This week we brought you the story of Chris Cavan, or as he is known on social media, KC Fresh. That photographer dude who gives all his photos away for free for students and families in the Camas community as well as throughout Clark County.
Hello, my name is Chris Cavan from Camas, Washington. I'm out here today talking with Mr. Valencia about why I do what I do, my passion for photography. I'm very thankful for the city of Camas to allow me to go out there and photograph sports and fulfill this passion I have for taking great photos for a couple reasons. One, because I love using my camera. 2, I love Camas sports. And 3, I love all the smiles and all the thank yous and all the happiness it provides to the local families just by being able to freeze those moments in time for these people and these local athletes.
The story brought out a lot of comments on social media. "He's a gift to our community," one said. "He's the real deal. Dude always steps up for us. Our Camas community is so blessed to have Casey in it. And you have touched so many lives and are a true inspiration. You bring a smile to my soul every time I see you." To read more about KC Fresh, visit clarkcountytoday.com.
All right, thanks so much for that, Paul. And there is your quick look at some of the top stories we're following for you this week at clarkcountytoday.com. If you want to be part of the lively conversation going on in your community and see when stories are posted, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also send story ideas and feedback via email to news@clarkcountytoday.com. For all of us, I'm Chris Brown. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again next week.